In the previous video, we navigated how to work with the Wokwi platform, how to access the documentation, and how various components actually work on as described in the documentation. So in this second part of the video, we will now look into an example of how you can be able to create a simple LED application on Wokwi. So the first thing, you will need to come to your projects and create a new project. So there. And we are going to open the ESP32. Of course, you can also work with other microcontrollers depending on which one you feel much more comfortable with. So I'm going to pick this one, and then you'll also need to select a template, and there are 2 templates or even more templates that you can use. For now, there are about 5 templates. You can use Arduino template, you can use MicroPython template, Rust, or even extended Rust and ESP IDF. So let's work with Arduino. And this will now have your microcontroller on your working space. And as you look into this microcontroller, you will note that it has all these pins which are labeled. Some are digital pins, some are analog pins. And you can learn more about how to work with the pins on this page. I will include it in the video as well. Alright, so once we have this, the other thing that we need to know is how can we be able to add the various components. And this is very simple. On the right, there is this part which has a plus symbol, and this is where you normally add a new part or a new component on your board. So by clicking on it, it will actually list for you all these components. And remember, just like we saw in the other video, you can be able to know how to use each of these components that you can attach to your microcontroller by going to the diagram reference, and you'll be able to find that one very clearly. So I need to come here and click on it. So by clicking on it, it will be added to your working space, and you can drag it like that, and we can maybe minimize. And from here, we can actually connect this to our board. Now, what we wanted to work on is a solution that will allow us to have this LED blinking. And we can even change the color of this. So by clicking on it and then coming up here, you can be able to change the color. Now on the left, you have these 3 terms, and I'll be explaining what they do. Now everything that you can see on the right is normally defined in this term, diagram.json. Just to show you how this works is, right now we have these parts. We have the ESP32 microcontroller, and we have one Wokwi LED. So we would want to add a resistor. So again, if we come here, we pick a resistor. I want you to note what happens to the left. There is a resistor that is actually added to the path section of our JSON file. So we would want a resistor, and the effect of the resistor is to allow the control of current that will be passed on to the LED. Alright, then we can again now connect. So we can connect again here. So as you keep on connecting, these will be added, and of course again, even these colors can be changed to whichever color that suits you. Now for this, we'll actually want to connect this to one of the pins that will help us control it. Again, remember, if you need to understand more about the pins, please go through this page for you to be able to understand exactly what they do. Now we can go back and connect, and I want us to connect this to pin number 2 of our microcontroller. And of course you can format the connection. Then for this other one, I'll need us to connect it to the ground, like so. All right, so this forms the various components that we need, and we should now be able to proceed. But first, let's save our project. So we're going to save it as project LED, and that will be saved in my account. So save it in my account like that. So the next part is now controlling this LED so that it is actually able to blink. So how do we do it? By default, we are provided with two methods. There is a set of methods, which is the initialization method, and then you have the loop method that forms or that allows you now to control how your device works or how your microcontroller behaves when we pass in the current through the various components. So for this, we will need to define the pin that will be controlling our current through the resistor. So we can come here and say define, then we want an LED built in, we can just name it that, and the pin number is pin number 2, like that. And once we get here, and remove this code, and let's just remove this. So we can say pin mode. So this is where we are initializing our pins, and we want our LED, which is the pin that we have defined here, or where the current will be controlled. We want it to be the output pin. So this instance, then I'm going to call LED built-in and then state output. Then in here, we are going to do two things. So all that we want is our LED to blink, but maybe fast. We can see whether it can actually light up. So we'll say digital right, and we want our LED as we start operation. So for the digital pins, you can either have a 1 or 0, or if we allow the current to flow, then that's a 1. If we allow the current to cut off the current, then that's a 0. So we want it when it is high. So just start it. And it is compiling. As you can see, it is now lighting up because you are allowing the current to flow through the resistor. So how now, if we want to to allow it to blink, so we can use another method, delay, and with delay, you can say the current should be high for maybe 2 seconds, so that is 2000 milliseconds, and it goes off. And once it goes off, we can again, the next stage would be to do a digital write, and again the LED built-in, we want it when it is low, and we want it when it is off to go off for 1 second. And delay for 1 second. Yes, so let's just refresh this, and it is building our code. And there we have an error. Yes, and the error is coming from here. We only need one bracket for that, so we learned that, and again it's now compiling, and once ready should be able to start off. And there it is, for 2 seconds off, 1 second on, 2 seconds off, 1 second on. Yes, so this is how you can be able to create a very simple project, just an LED, and all you have to know is that this is where you initiate the process, and this is where now you define what you want to do to your microcontroller. Now on the that tab, the that tab deals with the that tab looks into various libraries that you can be able to work with. For example, let's say you want to connect to a cloud platform, where you can be able to control your device, and we'll be doing this in a later video. Then you can add a new library by clicking on this plus, and you can upload the library. However, there are some already built-in library, and one of them that we'll be using later is a Blink, this one. And by clicking on Blink, it is actually added for you to be able to use it, and it's normally used within the sketch.ino section. We'll be doing that in the next video. Thank you so much, and in case of further questions, feel free to let me know. Thank you.